Existentialism is a philosophical movement that focuses on individual freedom, choice, and the inherent meaninglessness of life. At its core, existentialism emphasizes that human beings are free to shape their own lives, and that meaning is not given to us by external forces such as religion, society, or traditional values. Instead, it is something each individual must create for themselves. The movement became prominent in the 20th century, largely through the works of philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre, Soren Kierkegaard, and Albert Camus. These thinkers were concerned with the human experience of anxiety, isolation, and the constant search for meaning in a world that often appears indifferent to our struggles. Sartre, for example, argued that existence precedes essence, meaning that we are not born with a predetermined purpose, but must define ourselves through our actions. In this video, we'll explore how existentialism relates to the search for meaning in life, particularly in the context of American culture, where individualism and the pursuit of personal freedom play such a significant role. Jean-Paul Sartre is one of the most influential figures in existentialism, and his philosophy revolves around the concepts of freedom, responsibility, and the anxiety that arises from human existence. Sartre's key idea is that existence precedes essence, which means that individuals are not born with a predefined purpose or nature. Instead, we are thrown into the world, and it is through our choices and actions that we define who we are. Sartre's philosophy highlights the burden of human freedom. While freedom is often seen as a positive force, Sartre argues that it can be overwhelming and even terrifying. This existential anxiety comes from the realization that we are responsible for everything we do and that there are no external guidelines or moral absolutes to follow. We are free to create our own meaning, but with this freedom comes the weight of responsibility. Moreover, Sartre emphasizes the importance of authenticity. To live authentically means acknowledging our freedom and taking responsibility for our choices rather than conforming to societal expectations or seeking comfort in false beliefs. Sartre's work urges us to embrace the reality of our freedom, even though it can be a source of discomfort and uncertainty. In the context of American culture, Sartre's ideas resonate with the values of individualism and personal responsibility. The emphasis on personal freedom and the quest for self-definition aligns closely with the American spirit, but it also presents a challenge. How do we create meaning in a world where it's not handed to us? Albert Camus, another central figure in existentialism, introduced a concept known as the absurd. According to Camus, the absurd arises from the tension between our desire for meaning and the universe's indifference to our existence. In his famous essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus explores the idea that life is inherently meaningless. However, this realization does not lead to despair or resignation, but rather to a rebellious acceptance of life's absurdity. Camus uses the myth of Sisyphus, a figure condemned to endlessly roll a boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down each time, as a metaphor for the human condition. Despite the futility of his task, Sisyphus continues to push the rock, finding meaning in the struggle itself. For Camus, the key to dealing with the absurd is to embrace it, rather than seek escape in religion, nihilism, or suicide. In the American context, Camus' philosophy can resonate with the existential questioning many face in a world that often prioritizes material success and superficial goals over deeper meaning. The constant chase for the American dream can sometimes feel like a futile endeavor, much like Sisyphus's eternal struggle. Yet Camus would argue that it is in this very struggle for meaning, without expecting external validation, that one can find true freedom. Soren Kierkegaard, often considered the father of existentialism, introduced concepts that are central to understanding human existence, particularly his notions of faith, anxiety, and individual responsibility. Kierkegaard viewed anxiety not as a negative state to be avoided, but as an essential part of the human experience. This dread or angst arises when we confront the freedom to choose in the vast uncertainty of life. It is through this anxiety that we are forced to make meaningful decisions about who we are and what we believe. Kierkegaard believed that the path to authentic existence involves a leap of faith. Unlike Sartre, who saw freedom as an individual project of self-definition, Kierkegaard emphasized that faith, specifically a personal, subjective relationship with God, was necessary to give life meaning. This leap of faith involves embracing uncertainty and making a commitment to something greater than oneself, despite the lack of rational proof or external validation. In contrast to the existential crises often experienced in modern American society, Kierkegaard's approach offers a path forward by suggesting that true meaning can only be found through personal commitment and faith. This idea resonates with the American pursuit of individuality and self-realization, but adds the dimension of a deeper existential connection that transcends material success and social approval. In American society, the pursuit of meaning often appears intertwined with the ideals of individualism and the relentless drive for success. The American dream, a cultural cornerstone, promises that anyone, regardless of background, can achieve prosperity and fulfillment through hard work and determination. While this narrative champions personal freedom and the possibility of self-actualization, it also raises existential questions about what it means to live a meaningful life. Existentialists like Sartre and Camus would argue that, while the American dream encourages individuals to pursue personal freedom, it often overlooks the deeper question of whether such success leads to genuine fulfillment. In a culture that prioritizes material success and external validation, many people may find themselves questioning the purpose of their achievements once they reach the pinnacle of their careers or accumulate wealth. The realization that success does not inherently bring meaning can lead to what Camus describes as the absurd, a recognition that the universe is indifferent to our struggles and that we must create meaning for ourselves. Sartre's idea of freedom also plays a significant role in this search for meaning. While Americans may feel liberated by the opportunities available to them, Sartre warns that true freedom comes with responsibility and anxiety. The freedom to define one's life can be overwhelming, and many may seek refuge in societal norms or materialistic goals as a way of avoiding the burden of this responsibility. Ultimately, the existential search for meaning in America challenges the conventional narratives of success. It encourages individuals to confront the absurdity of life and find authenticity in their choices, whether or not these choices align with traditional measures of success. By embracing their freedom and taking responsibility for their actions, individuals can craft lives that are meaningful to them, regardless of external pressures or expectations. The influence of existentialism extends far beyond academic philosophy into American popular culture, particularly in literature, cinema, and music. Existential themes of freedom, anxiety, and the search for meaning have permeated the arts, reflecting the struggles of individuals seeking purpose in a seemingly indifferent world. In literature, authors like J.D. Salinger and his iconic character, Holden Caulfield, from The Catcher in the Rye, embody existential questions of identity, isolation, and authenticity. Holden's search for truth in a world of phoniness mirrors the existential quest for self-understanding in a society that often prioritizes superficial success. Similarly, the works of writers like John Steinbeck and Ernest Hemingway explore the human condition through characters who confront the meaninglessness of their circumstances and strive to find personal significance. In cinema, directors like Woody Allen have been profoundly influenced by existentialism. Films such as Annie Hall and Husbands and Wives delve into themes of identity, relationships, and the absurdity of human existence. Allen's characters often grapple with the uncertainties of life, reflecting the existential view that meaning must be created rather than found. Existentialism also resonates in music, particularly in the works of artists like Bob Dylan, whose lyrics often address themes of alienation and the search for meaning. Dylan's famous line, "The times they are a changin'," captures the existential notion of an ever-evolving search for purpose and self-awareness. The enduring impact of existentialism on American culture highlights the relevance of these ideas in addressing the complexities of modern life. In a society that values individualism, yet often struggles with feelings of emptiness, existentialism provides a framework for exploring personal freedom and the search for meaning. In contemporary American society, many individuals experience a crisis of meaning as traditional values and external sources of purpose, such as religion, community, or career, are increasingly questioned or lost. This sense of existential crisis can lead to feelings of disillusionment, anxiety, and a lack of direction. The rise of consumerism, social media, and the pressure to constantly achieve more can exacerbate this crisis. In a culture where success is often measured by material wealth, status, or online validation, many people find themselves chasing goals that do not fulfill their deeper need for meaning. The quest for the American dream can sometimes feel like an endless pursuit, much like the myth of Sisyphus, where individuals push for success only to find that it does not bring lasting satisfaction. Existential philosophers like Sartre and Camus offer valuable insights into this crisis. They argue that meaning is not something that can be found externally, but must be created by each individual. Sartre's emphasis on personal responsibility and Camus' acceptance of the absurd encourage people to confront the emptiness of life and take ownership of their freedom. Rather than seeking refuge in societal expectations or material pursuits, individuals are urged to create their own meaning through authentic choices and personal commitment. The existential crisis in modern society, while unsettling, also presents an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. By embracing the freedom to define our lives and accepting the uncertainty that comes with it, we can find meaning in the very struggle itself, just as Sisyphus does in his eternal task. Existentialism remains a powerful and relevant philosophy, particularly in today's society, where many individuals are questioning traditional sources of meaning and searching for deeper fulfillment. In the context of America, where individualism and personal freedom are central values, existentialism provides a framework for understanding the complexities of the human condition and the struggle to find authentic purpose. Through the works of Sartre, Camus, and Kierkegaard, existentialism challenges us to confront the inherent absurdity of life and to take responsibility for the meaning we create. It calls for a rejection of external expectations and encourages individuals to embrace their freedom, make authentic choices, and find meaning in their own struggles. In a world that often seems chaotic and uncertain, existentialism offers a way forward, a path of self-awareness, personal responsibility, and the courage to live authentically. By applying these existential ideas, we can navigate the complexities of modern life and create lives that are meaningful, not because they conform to societal norms, but because they reflect our own deepest values and desires.